I don't know what you're doing right now. I don't know where you're at. If you're driving, just keep on driving, but listen very carefully. If you're in the middle of surgery right now, you may need to stop, but if it's at all possible, you might want to pull your patient out of anesthesia because they need to hear this too. Because I'm telling you what, you'll want to put your camera on or your video on pause right now, because I'm getting ready to share with you one of the greatest revelations to mankind since Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, I'm Scott Stevens, and I've got Clark in the studio with me today working the camera. And like I said, we have got breakthrough revelation that I found on YouTube, of all places. Can you believe it? And I saw it on some of the other platforms, but I'm just amazed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm 60 years old. I mean, the very first time I read the Bible all the way through, my aunt had given me a New American Standard Bible for a graduation present in high school, and I'd read the Bible, but I'd never just sat down and read it all the way through. And I read it all the way through, and I've read the NIV, I've read the Living Translation Paraphrase. I've read several Bibles all the way through, and I've just turned 60 within the last little over a month here, and I'm really kind of just really disappointed because, of the tens of thousands of hours I've spent in the Bible reading it, I finally, for the first time, came to understand what it's really all about. The central message of the whole Bible, and it all revolves around this, and I wouldn't have known it unless I had read my King James Bible first all the way through. And most of the people that shared this revelation, I think that's where it came from, was the King James Bible. But what is the revelation? The most important thing that you can ever know. This is the hill worth dying on right here. And I've watched these guys, these warriors, on the comment section, and the message that's worth dying for, the hill you need to die on, what the Bible's all about, is that the earth is flat. I mean, I was reading over there in Mark chapter 16, and Jesus appeared to his disciples, and they were hiding after his resurrection. And the most important message that he could share with them right after he had been raised from the dead is, I want you guys to get out of this room and quit hiding, and I want you to go into all the world and preach that the earth is flat to every creature. And whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. But if they don't believe that the earth is flat, they'll be condemned. And then I was reading over in John 3:16, and it said, for God so loved the world that he made it flat. And whoever believes that will not perish, but have everlasting life. And then over there in Romans chapter 1, the Apostle Paul, the great Apostle Paul, he said, I am not ashamed of the message of the flat earth, because it is the power of God unto salvation. And he went on later in the 10th chapter of the book of Romans, and he said, this is the word of faith which we preach, that if you believe that the earth is flat and confess with your mouth that it's not a globe, you'll be saved. Because with the heart man believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. You've got to understand that the earth is flat. That's the most important thing. We don't need to talk about anything else. I mean, I remember the Apostle Paul, 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Clark, can you help me out? No, here, I got it. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 17, I think it is. Let me find it over here. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. And let's get up here to verse 17. Paul, he's talking, he said, Christ did not send me to baptize. That's not the most important thing. But to preach the message that the earth is flat. That's what it's all about. The whole world needs to know. They've been deceived. You know, did you know that the word NASA means lie? NASA has been lying to you. They told you that the earth is a globe. They're deceiving you. And they're trying to convince you that it's a globe spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and hurtling through space around the sun at 88,000 miles. Can you believe these deceivers and these liars? Have they not read their King James Bible? Come on. If it was spinning 1,000 miles an hour, do you know how fast that is? I mean, we'd get raptured because we'd go from centrifugal force flying off the planet. Because there ain't no such thing as gravity. Good Lord, those are conspiracy theories. I mean, Jesus, over there in Matthew 24. Clark, you remember over there, we've talked about this in some of our videos.
Yep.
Matthew 24. And remember when he had talked about, there wasn't going to be one stone left on another in the temple? Well, here, let me go to Matthew chapter 24. We're going to read the first 5 verses. I mean, this new revelation, it's just really, it's a new paradigm. It's turned my world upside down. I'm 60 years old and I'm just finding this out for the first time because I was so deceived. I never knew governments lied to people. I never knew the news and the media would tell you lies. I mean, Bill Nye, the science guy. Oh my goodness. Jesus left the temple, Matthew 24:1. And was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. Do you see all these things? He asked. Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down. And as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And I want you to notice what Jesus said right after that. Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you. You got to watch out for those people at NASA. The media, the government, and that, it means lie. They're going to lie to you. For many will come in my name, claiming that the earth is a sphere. And they'll deceive many. I mean, why isn't this being preached from pulpits around the world, across America? This is so important. And I'm telling you what, there's guys that spend hours of every day dedicating themselves to getting this message out that the earth is flat. I mean, 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Let me look at that one real quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Starting at verse 1. So I made it, this is Paul. I think Paul and Sosthenes wrote this letter. And so it was with me, brothers and sisters, when I came to you. I did not come with eloquence or human wisdom as I proclaimed to you the testimony about the flat earth. For I resolved to know nothing while I was with you except that the earth is flat And God surrounded it with a wall of ice to keep all the water in so we wouldn't fall off. And then over there in Acts chapter 4, right after Peter and John met the man who had been crippled from birth at the gate beautiful, and they looked at him, and he thought he was going to get some money from him, and he's like, no, you ain't getting no money. Look at me. I want to tell you something, son. We don't have money. Silver and gold have we none. But what we do have, we give unto you. The knowledge that the earth is flat. And then the guy gets healed because he's got this revelation, this supernatural revelation that nobody else has ever heard of or known. Hadn't been revealed to him. And I'll be doggone if the Sanhedrin wasn't upset and they arrest Peter and John and they bring Peter and John in. I think I may have said Paul. It's Peter and John. And we go over there to Acts chapter 4. And they're asking them. And they said, starting in verse 9, they said, if we're being called to account today for an act of kindness shown to a man who was lame and being asked how he was healed, then know this, you and all the people of Israel. It is by the knowledge that the earth is flat that this man stands before you healed. The message that the earth is flat has been rejected by you, but it's the stone that sets the whole foundation for everything in the Bible. And it's become the chief cornerstone. Salvation is found in no other knowledge, and there's been no other message given under heaven whereby we must be saved than the earth is flat. I mean, Paul over there in Philippians chapter 3, I was reading it. I tell you what, this is so important. Paul makes this statement. Philippians chapter 3. And I think it's verse 8. Let me see. He says, start at verse 7, whatever were gains to me, whatever I thought I knew, whatever knowledge I thought I had, he said, I now consider loss. And that word loss is just a pile of crap is what it is. He said, everything I knew, that's nothing. That's a pile of crap for the sake of the message of the flat earth. What is more, I consider everything a pile of crap because of the surpassing worth of knowing that the earth is flat. And for this message, I've lost everything. But it's so important that you know that the earth is flat. And I consider them all garbage, just a pile of crap, that I may gain the knowledge and be found knowing that the earth is flat, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from that knowledge, but the righteousness that comes from knowing that the earth is flat and it's not a globe and it's surrounded by an ice wall. Now, I hope you understand I have been being facetious. This is how stupid, asinine, and idiotic that this message is, that the most important thing that you can put up, if you can't understand that this is a psyop to make Christians look like fools and getting them arguing about just stupid stuff and making them look like fools before the whole world, I don't know what it's going to take. You're beyond help. But Paul talks about this very same kind of stuff, and I'm being serious now. This isn't a parody anymore. Go over in your Bible to Titus chapter 3, and let's go to verses 9 through 11. 3, 9, 11. And Paul writes, he says, avoid foolish controversies. And I don't know of many that are more foolish than fighting over whether the earth is flat, a sphere. I don't care if the earth is shaped like a monkey turd. It has no effect on our salvation. It's ridiculous. And if you don't understand the message of the gospel, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, the message of the cross, you're lost as a goat in a hailstorm, man. But Paul says here, he said, avoid foolish controversies and genealogies and arguments and quarrels about the law. And the Bible says here, there's four corners of the earth. You know, you're arguing about silly stuff that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. He said, because these are unprofitable and useless. Warn a divisive person once, and then warn them a second time. After that, have nothing to do with them. You know, I think it's over in Proverbs chapter 26, around verses 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. It says, do not answer a fool unless you become like him. But then when you don't answer a fool, they say, oh, you don't have any arguments against this. And then Solomon says, answer a fool lest he become wise in his own eyes. And what Solomon was saying was, you know, there's no way you win with a fool. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But here, Paul says, warn a divisive person once, and then warn them a second time, and after that, have nothing to do with them. You may be sure that such people are warped and sinful. They're self-condemned. Think about it. I'll see you on the next video.